Everyone's experienced this. It's dark, you hear the sound of little feet running along the fence, you switch on the outside light, and there are two beady eyes staring back at you. Possums, caught in the act, feeding on your vegetable garden. The common brush-tailed possum is found in every capital city and urban numbers are rising. So it's time to learn a bit more about these backyard visitors with ecologist Professor Darryl Jones. Darryl, what is a possum?
Well, a possum is a very familiar marsupial mammal. It's a native to Australia and it's very widespread. But we also need to be aware that because it's a native animal, it's protected legally. So it means that we can't just simply go out and catch one or move it around. You simply can't do that. And you wouldn't want to. You'd have to be a little bit careful because they can bite and scratch.
So if these are native wild animals, why is it they're so attracted to food gardens in the city?
Well, literally because it's food. And they will try anything. And every successful animal in Australia has to be very adaptable. And these guys have said, well, I've never seen this kind of fruit before. It's something not from my land, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
Oh, he's having a bloody feed and a half. This one, I tell you.
So what else is encouraging possums into our gardens, apart from our food gardens?
Oh, lots of things, Jerry. There's these places that we have constructed as humans really benefit these possums. They really don't want to go to the ground if there's any way they can avoid that. So there are the lines and cables above the ground, and you can see possums wandering along those all the time. Then there's simple things like fences. They can walk along the tops of the fences. But the other thing about it is the predators have changed. In the natural world, they would be predated on by big snakes and owls and things like that. Less of those usually in the suburbs, but a whole set of different predators, cats, dogs, foxes, and especially cars. That's a really big problem. For the possums, that's why they don't want to go onto the ground if they can avoid it.
When it comes to keeping possums out of our gardens, the easiest place to start is with what doesn't work.
Let's start with this replica of an owl. This is supposed to scare off animals that looks like a big predator. There's just no way that any self-respecting animal anywhere in Australia will take the slightest notice of this. The animals are not dumb. They can figure out that this is just some artefact. It's not a real thing. There's a whole array of other types of physical barriers, like these spiny things. So here's just one example. You can get all sorts of things from hardware shops with spines and spikes and all sorts of things that you would think would stop them, but it doesn't slow down possums at all. They've got really strong feet and they can walk up cactuses without any problems at all. So those sort of physical things don't work either. And then there are a whole array of different sprays. Now, this is just one example of many different sorts of repellent-type sprays that you can buy from all sorts of shops, gardening places. I've been involved in quite a few research projects to try and test whether they work very well. They don't work at all. So, Jerry, we've talked about the things that don't work very well. Now, in your beautiful garden here, what have you done that works properly?
Well, here I've got a chocolate pudding fruit tree, and they like the leaves and the fruit, and it's growing right next to the fence, which is a pathway every night. So what I've done is I've pruned the height of the tree so I can get up on a step ladder and either pick the fruit, or in winter I can enclose the whole thing with hail protection mesh. And so the whole thing's enclosed. I tie it in at the bottom and I can untie that to pick the fruit, and that works a treat. Over here you can see how they're using the fence to nibble at my star fruit. Sometimes they'll come down onto the bench, and this lettuce is one of the things they like eating, but for that I just use a little bit of chicken wire like this.
They could just rip that off, but they don't seem to ever bother doing that, do they? So they mustn't be that smart, but they're strong. OK, that works very well. Great.
I'll show you what I've been doing over here with my jackfruit. Funnily enough, I get ringtails in here almost every night, and sometimes you'll get 3. And they really like the fruit when they're young. So what I've done is I've wrapped them all in protection bags, and these have this very thin mesh, and it allows the rain to evaporate and air to get through, so there's no problem with the fruit decaying, and you just tie them tight. And when the jackfruit have filled these bags, the possums are no longer interested in them.
Excellent.
So it does
Simple.
work.
Yes,
Have a look
okay.
over here at what I've been doing. In my garden, possums are really only a winter problem. When the weather warms up, they move on. So what I've done here, this is a winter crop of corn, and I've covered it with hail protection mesh.
And does that work?
Well, it seems to be fine. It's not penned down. It just lays down on the ground, and they just seem to go around it.
OK. There's another thing that we really have to take seriously. Although it looks like there's possums all around us in the cities and towns in Australia, outside in the bush and in the rural areas, they're in really serious decline. So we've got a strange situation. Although they're here and they're plundering our gardens and all that sort of thing, that's also the place where they are most abundant and where they're surviving. So their conservation requires us, if we possibly can, to provide some space where they can live with us.
So it's possible to strike a balance, protect the plants you value most, and leave some living space for our native possums.